Friends, Jesus said that before his second coming, there will be wars and earthquakes in diverse places. How can wars be connected to earthquakes? You may ask. Well, to understand this, one needs to have a reasonable idea of God's timeline and his future plans for our planet that we find in the Holy Bible. Now, almost all religions agree that there was a great flood that destroyed the whole earth. In the days prior to that flood, the atmospheric conditions of our earth were very different as compared to what we experience today. In those days, there was a water layer that surrounded the earth, which protected our planet from the harmful effects of the sun. As a result, people lived for about 1,000 years then. Furthermore, there weren't any seasons on the earth. In fact, there wasn't even rain, and the plants were watered through a mist that rose from the ground, and there remained a pleasant weather throughout the year. It is because the 23.5-degree tilt of the pole was not there before Noah's flood. The tilt was brought forth by God himself so that there can be seasons in the post-flood world. In the book of Noah, we find that during the time just prior to Noah's flood, the earth's pole tilted and some hot water springs turned cold. Today, we are once again about to enter a similar period of great changes. According to the prophetic timeline of the Bible, we are very close to the second coming of Jesus Christ. The Bible goes on to say that when Jesus comes back, Jesus and his saints will rule the earth for 1,000-year period when people will live a full 1,000 years till the end of that rule. However, in order for that to happen, the poles have to go back to their original positions, and the firmament that God tore down during Noah's flood be restored once again. In fact, God has been bringing back the poles gradually for many, many decades now, friends. That is what is causing all these earthquakes more frequently than ever before. The scientific community has been watching and keeping record of all these things, even though it has its own interpretation of the events. Now, years before people came to know about the global warming phenomenon, one day I was listening to BBC radio where someone was interviewing a person from the town of Port Churchill in Canada, which is very close to the North Pole. In that interview, the person being interviewed mentioned that they were getting more months of sun as compared to their past, and their port, which used to be operational only 3 months a year, was able to operate up to 5 months in a year. That is impossible without the North Pole moving towards the sun, exposing itself to more sunshine. That is why we find more melting of the ice in the North Pole, even though theoretically both the North and South Poles get the same amount of sunlight in summer. I hope this explains the wars and earthquakes happening at the same time as Jesus predicted. Thanks for watching.